All right, we're going to Trump. Fuck me, dude.
We're doing this a long time, right? So now a governor like Ron DeSantis of Florida is doing a great job, or a great governor of Ohio, or a great governor of any state can call up and buy the drugs directly from Canada at sometimes 50% less. So we'll be buying from Canada. Now, what the drug companies are going to do, maybe they'll
Holy
raise them, maybe
shit,
they'll
dude. This
lower
is
them,
a crazy
or
fucking
maybe they'll
idea.
just give up and sell them to us directly.
I mean, it's literally Bernie Sanders is
So a
like,
lot of things are
it's what Bernie
happening,
Sanders was doing as a
also the rebate.
substitute
We have
program
people that are very wealthy that
while advocating for
nobody
Medicare
ever
for
heard
all.
of them. Nobody knows who they are. I guess in some cases they can be pharmacies. In some cases they're individuals.
This is unironically going to trigger the fuck out of pharmaceutical corporations. Like, they will never allow governors to do this. They will never allow states to do this. Also, my internet is just completely shit the bed.
You will see over a period of fairly short period, drug prices are going to be tumbling down at numbers that nobody would have ever believed possible. We have, in 51 years, the only time prices came down was during this administration. It was last year. 51 years it went up, but that was just a small decline. This is a massive decline. This is a decline that nobody can believe. I was called by senators. I was called by congressmen. So a very, very big priority on telehealth. As part of the CARES Act, we secured $200 million to help healthcare providers and hospitals expand their telehealth, and they're all doing it. They're doing it gladly. Prior to the epidemic or the pandemic, whatever you want to say and how you want to refer to it.
Wait, what?
But
That's like,
prior to the pandemic,
I mean, there's a difference.
Telehealth was fine, but it wasn't anything raging.
One is
And I guess
localized,
one
the
of
other one is
only good
across,
things
like,
that we've
everywhere.
gotten out of this whole horrible situation is telehealth has been incredible, and again, the increases are, many hundreds of times greater than it was before. Do you have a number? It's
Dude, he's literally, he's doing that thing that, like, kids do, or that I did when I wanted to increase the word count for an essay that I did not have enough time to prepare for. And he, in that process, he's like freestyling, and the freestyling part of the process is like idiotic every time.
We cut red tape to allow many services to be conducted by phone rather than video, which is much simpler, providing a much easier option for many seniors in particular. 35% of the Medicare beneficiaries who receive telehealth services, or over 3.6 million seniors, did so over the phone. Over 43% of all Medicare primary care visits were done via telehealth.
If Trump actually follows through on this, like,
0.1%
pharmaceutical
to 43%,
purchasing agreement,
it's an incredible number.
and like governors take advantage of this, which I doubt they will. I think that
healthcare access in
this,
rural America,
if it's
we
not
take care of
mandated,
rural
and if it's
America.
localized, or if it's like
Directs
individual
agencies to
states
deploy strategic
that
investments in
are
our
given the
rural
power to do this, they
communications
won't follow
infrastructure.
through with it because they're more
And we're working very
they're more
hard
likely
with,
to be
all of the people
influenced by big
in
pharma
government that are
than
involved
even the
with
federal government.
communications infrastructure, so
But if that
we
actually
can
happened, that's
the telehealth
really good
is,
policy. I mean, it's a
very
it's
quick
a
and easy
substitution for what is necessary, but it's legitimately not a bad
very
idea. It's not a
significantly
bad
from month to
fucking
month,
policy at
making it
all.
difficult for many to stay in business. Many are having a very difficult time. To help fix this problem, my order will create a voluntary Medicare payment system that will give rural hospitals flexibility, really great flexibility, and a more consistent income stream to better serve their patients. Furthermore, I am directing the Department of Agriculture, Department of Health and Human Services, and the Federal Communications Commission. We were
Trump's
just with
favorite
the heads
nation's
of each
proposal
one
does nothing. It's a band-aid at
in the
best.
Oval Office just
Dude,
before I came
yeah,
up.
it's no shit. It's a
voting
fucking
to
band-aid.
form a
Except
task force
that's
that
the
will
entire
break down
proposal for
barriers to
Democrats.
expanding
The
rural
Democratic
healthcare.
Party's entire platform
This
is
order
band-aid
continues
after
my
band-aid after
administration's
band-aid.
focus
So
on rural
Trump
healthcare.
putting forward a band-aid
We allocated
proposal
nearly
will, I hope,
$165 million
push Democrats
through
further to the
CARES Act
left.
to support nearly 1,800 small rural hospitals who have done an incredible job, as well as $11.5 million to expand technical assistance for rural and underserved areas. Well, I think we're doing very well, and I think that we have done
love the spirit of justice.
as well as any
You
nation.
love
If you
your
really
father,
look,
the
if you take a
devil.
look at what's going on, especially now with all these flare-ups on nations that they were talking about. And don't forget, we're much bigger than India and
What does that
China.
say?
China's having a massive flare-up right now.
What does
India
that fucking
has a
say about
tremendous
you
problem.
if
Other countries have problems? And I noticed that in the news, in the evening news, I never read about that. In any of the news, I don't read about the other countries. You're starting to see that other countries are having very big flare-ups. Countries that thought they were over it, like we thought we might be over it in Florida, and then all of a sudden it comes back. They do come back. But I think we're doing very well.
Thanks, Mr. President. I wanted to follow up on two things that you said earlier in the cabinet room. The first was on TikTok, and the second was on coronavirus. On TikTok, you said that you wanted money for the U.S. Treasury from the sale. Does that mean you expect the Chinese company to pay the U.S. Treasury directly, or are you talking about
either way, whether it's Microsoft or somebody else, or if it was the Chinese, what the price is, the United States should get a very large percentage of that price, because we're making it possible. Without us, I use the expression, it's like the landlord and the tenant, and without the lease, the tenant doesn't have the value. Well, we're sort of, in a certain way, the lease. We make it possible to have this great success. TikTok's a tremendous success, but a big portion of it's in this country.
Sale directly.
Isn't this an insane precedent?
It would come from
Like,
And then
we will
you mentioned-
bully
Nobody else would
foreign
think about me,
corporations
but that's the way I think. And I think
to
it's
make
a,
them
I think
non-profitable,
it's
or in some instances
we want no
non-operational,
security problems.
so that an American corporation can
It's gotta
purchase
be an
them?
American company. It's got to be American security. It's got to be owned here. We don't want to have any problems with security, etc. And something could come out. I will tell you, there's a lot of excitement, not only by Microsoft,
By the
but
way,
by other companies.
I don't even have a fucking problem with this when it comes to like natural resource extraction.
We deserve to have a big
If a
percentage
German
of
company
that
was
price
responsible
coming
for
to America, coming to the
extracting
Treasury.
American natural
Then on the
resources,
negotiation on Capitol Hill, you
and
expressed
Trump
some
was like, "We're
frustrations
going to
that you might
nationalize
take
that shit,"
executive
I would
action to
be
address,
very much in favor of
I
it.
do that, yes.
So I was wondering if you could
But in
talk
this
about
circumstance,
both,
like he's
how
literally
you might
saying,
prevent evictions.
in this circumstance, he's literally saying like, "No, I'm gonna just make it harder
I
for
don't want people to be
every
able to
foreign
keep
company
them
to operate on U.S. soil
when they're
and then
thrown
get
out
an
or-
American corporation to purchase it." It's not like they're nationalizing it.
And I mean, I think I can say right here and now, I think you have to rerun that race because it's a mess. Nobody knows what's happening with the ballots and the lost ballots and the fraudulent ballots, I guess. I think you probably have to take the Carolyn Maloney race and run it over again. How can you do this? And this is a small race with literally thousands of people, small thousands, and it's all messed up. You look at Paterson, New Jersey, it's all messed up. Almost every one of these, and these are small, easy to control. They should be able to do this easy. Now you're talking about like Nevada, where last 2 nights ago, they went out and in the darkness of night without people, without having any meetings of the public, without having anything, they approved a ridiculous, you don't have to look at signatures, you don't have to approve anything, you can have double mailings. You can have all sorts of things. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's a disgrace. I mean, honestly, it's a disgrace.
Guys,
So it's a very good question. I mean,
these
the-
problems
the
currently
ballots,
exist
if you look
in
at just
every
some
part of the American
small-
government, including the current
small
electoral
places,
process
small races,
where
Congress,
ballots get
congressional
lost,
race in
still
New
to this
York.
day. No
should be
one
very
ever has
easy.
suggested
Normally
that
that
we
would have
throw
been
out the
announced at
entire
7
election.
o'clock, and it would have been
Okay?
down
Big
to the
issues always
wire, and
have
everybody would
big
have known
problems.
it was-
It is
it was
fucking
all
psychotic
complex.
to be
It would
like,
have taken an extra
it's not
45 minutes
perfect,
or an hour, and
so
they
we
would have
shouldn't
announced it
use it
later.
at all.
They have no
This
clue.
is a
This was
complete
about 6 weeks
nonsensical
ago.
position. If something is
And
not
they have no
perfect,
clue.
you, as a responsible legislator or a person in an administrative position, seek to alleviate the issue as best as you can. This is how it fucking works. Not abolish that system in its entirety.
They have to request them. They go through a process. They get them. But the universal mail-in ballots have turned out to be a disaster. And what Nevada has been doing, if you look over the last few days, you have to look at what they've done. You can
The
have two
qualifier
ballots,
also,
you
of
can
course,
harvest,
is that
it's harvested.
unless that
So you
system
can
is
take
designed to oppress,
thousands of
so
ballots,
don't
put them
fucking
together,
turn
and
around
just dump
and
them
say
down in
capitalism
somebody's desk
or
after a certain
fucking
period
the
of
police
time.
force, okay?
They have something.
I knew it. I knew it. I fucking knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because you fucking morons cannot hold it in. You are. It's just like, oh, you said you can't abolish something. It's entirely different. One is voting. Okay, a good thing, a part of the democratic process. The other one is
comes down to that
policing,
one
a
state.
system
That
designed
means
historically
you
and
have to
still in
wait 7
contemporary
days.
society, designed to
But they don't have it
oppress
there.
the working
This is
poor.
something that's so messed up.
Fuck,
And by the way, I have to
XQC is
say,
live. Why are you
the
here?
post office for many, many years has been, run in a fashion that hasn't been great. Great workers and everything, but they have old equipment, very old equipment. I don't think the post office is prepared for a thing like this. You have to ask the people at the post office. But how can the post office be expected to handle? They have regular mailing, and then now on top of that, they have the internet, where you have Amazon and these companies doing, all the buying instead of going to a department store. They go buy through mail. So you have massive numbers of purchases now going through the post office, purchases of items and gifts, and that's a tremendous strain on the post office. The post office loses a fortune. It has been for many, many years, for decades. So now on top of it, it has this. And the Amazons of the world and the others, they pay very, very little money. They lose money on the post office loses money, which is ridiculous, on every package it delivers. But now on top of that, and I'm not just referring to Amazon, I'm talking about all of the
for-profit
competitors. If there is
corporation.
such a thing to Amazon, there will be. But if there is such a thing. But now on top of that, you'll have somebody like the governor of Nevada come out with this massive plan out of nowhere to take millions of ballots and send them all over the place. You'll never know who won that state. It'll get messed up just like New York and just like Paterson, New Jersey, and just like many other places. In West Virginia, they indicted a postman for doing something very bad. You know that? But there are many cases all over the country. If you look, you'll be able to find.
This
there's a
is
list of them all over
this is
the country.
classic small brain Republican, by the way, mentality, where it's like an undocumented immigrant committed a murder somewhere, therefore we should shut down immigration in its entirety. It's such a fucking stupid way of looking at the world. It is literally how babies think. Okay, you have to have a baby brain to be a Republican.
We haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see what happens. We will be suing in Nevada, and that's already been taken care of. We'll probably file something tomorrow. I do want to say that we're going to be introducing a tremendous health care plan sometime hopefully prior to the end of the month. It's just about completed now. In addition, next month we'll be doing the immigration plan. So we'll be doing that in September. We'll be doing sometime during this month the health care plan. And I think that'll be before the end of the month, and I think it'll be very impressive to a lot of people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Postal Service says it has capacity for the election year. Mr. President, the Postal Service released a statement saying it has ample capacity for the election. That's not true what you just said, Mr. President.
Also, I knew it. I knew that the fucking guy that was guilty was doing it for Republicans. Nearly every single one of these instances of fucking voter fraud or election fraud, rather, because voter fraud is incredibly fucking... Okay, there's a difference between voter fraud and election fraud, okay? So that's one, because elections are massive. So many millions of people participate in them that voter fraud would have to be systemic and insanely difficult to lead, okay? The distinction there is election fraud. Election fraud is the process in which you have some sort of fucking control over a large group of voters and you change the outcome. Okay? Republicans claim voter fraud. The reality is election fraud occurs. Even that in and of itself is also a unique circumstance. All right? Even that in and of itself is not all that common. Except, you know what is common? You know what is likely if there is election fraud? It's fucking Republicans that do it. Even when there's voter fraud, even when there is voting fraud or voter fraud, rather, it's oftentimes Republicans that engage in it. There was a very famous case of a woman who voted twice, right? Illegally. And they asked her, why'd you do it? And she literally said, because Trump told me the Latinos were voting illegally. So in order to combat that, I voted illegally as well. So like, it's always fucking Republicans, dude. It's Republicans that do it, and then they turn around and act like it's a massive problem, but it doesn't matter because it's not a massive problem. Regardless of how many Republicans try to do voter fraud and fail, they still fucking fail, and it's still not successful because it would require millions of fucking people. It would require millions of fucking people to engage in this action.